Welcome back to Words of Paradise. I'm your host, Leon Idle, and it has been a long time coming. My segment earlier about Frost was kind of lighthearted and fun, like, oh, yay, she's gone, finally, gamers everywhere, rejoice. Alec Baldwin murdered a woman. Like, straight up. I know it was an accident, but someone is still dead. So it's about time that he does, in fact, have some harsh realities thrust upon him despite his celebrity status. Well, it looks like that's what's going to happen. Alec Baldwin will be charged with involuntary manslaughter and Rust shooting death. And I, for one, say good. This has been a long time coming, and I'm sure like many of you, thought that nothing would even ever come of this due to his celebrity status, that he'd find a way to make it disappear, sweep it under the rug. Celebrities have gotten away with murder before. I mean, Matthew Broderick, O.J. Simpson. So yes, let's read through here and see if Alec Baldwin's going to get what's coming to him, and let's hope it's something big, because he has spent a long time trying to deny that this was his fault in the scummiest of manners. Actor Alec Baldwin will face criminal charge of involuntary manslaughter in the shooting death of cinematographer Halyna Hutchins on the set of the film Rust, prosecutors in Santa Fe, New Mexico said on Thursday. The film's armorer, Hannah Gutierrez-Reed, is facing the same charges. First Judicial District Attorney Mary Carmack Outwas said in a written statement, in addition to those charges, Assistant Director David Halls has signed a plea deal for the charge of negligent use of a deadly weapon, according to the announcement. So, yeah, the director, the armorer, and Alec Baldwin all are at fault in some way, shape, or form. Two of them being charged with the director doing some sort of plea deal. Yeah, so far it seems this is good news. If any one of these three people, Alec Baldwin, Hannah Gutierrez-Reed, or David Halls, had done their job, Halyna Hutchins would be alive today, said Andrea Reeb, the special prosecutor appointed to Carmack Outwas. It's that simple. And it really is that simple. People are talking about this like it's some big debate, like, oh, well, he's just an actor, he wouldn't have known. Other people like, it doesn't matter if you're an actor or not. Gun safety is kind of a big deal. At the end of the day, simple mistakes, laziness, lackadaisicalness, whatever, ended a woman's life. Accident or not, there has to be some sort of consequences for these actions. And there's consequences for car accidents. There should definitely be consequences for this as well. So I think it's completely fair to charge the dude who put a gun at her face and shot, regardless of whether he was supposed to do that or not for the scene. So it wasn't even filming anyway. It was a rehearsal scene. He didn't do proper gun safety. Accident or not, a woman is dead. There needs to be something held and someone held accountable. There's got to be justice. And review evidence in the case clearly shows a pattern for criminal disregard for safety on the film's set, Reeb added. Baldwin's attorney, Luke Nikas, called the decision to file charges a terrible miscarriage of justice and a distortion of a tragedy. I know lawyers have this reputation for being just toads, for being slimy, but when a woman was shot in the face, and is no longer among us here in the glorious land of the living, which it honestly may be a blessing at this point considering how 2023 is going, but that's neither here nor there. Things should be, you cannot call that a terrible miscarriage of justice. The man who shot her, who is at fault, is now being treated like he's at fault despite his celebrity status. That is great. And I know the lawyer's saying what he has to, what Baldwin pays him to say, but I don't know how people think that statements like this will endear us to the people who are being charged more. Like, oh man, Baldwin said, I never thought about it like that. Al Baldwin's such a good guy because his lawyer said so. No one's going to assume you're a good person because your lawyer says so. Good people don't need lawyers 9 times out of 10. The actor relied on the professionals with whom he worked, who assured him the gun did not have live rounds, Nika said in a statement to NPR. We will fight these charges and we will win. No, it doesn't matter. The professionals with whom he worked who assured him the gun did not have live rounds. That doesn't matter. You're handed a weapon. You always treat that weapon as if it is armed. Alec Baldwin shouldn't have trusted any professional. He should have checked the gun himself, made sure he didn't. Relying on other individuals is how you get screwed. We've all been part of that group project, for like school, science, or whatever, and someone was supposed to do their part, and they didn't, and we got screwed. Well, the same thing happened here, only now a cinematographer is flying up high in the sky with Liberace, and they're probably singing songs, making fun of Alec Baldwin up there. It's just an absolute mess. I can't believe that they're saying, oh, it's not his fault because he trusted other people. That's how some of the worst things pan out, is you trust someone else and you get burned for it. But there's still consequences to your actions of trusting that individual, as well as other actions you could have done. In October 2021, Baldwin was holding a Colt .45 caliber pistol that that fired a live round, killing Hutchins. At the time, they were rehearsing a scene for the Western film. Baldwin has maintained that Hutchins died in a tragic accident, saying he didn't intentionally fire the weapon and had no idea it held live ammunition when the film crew gathered to rehearse the scene for the film. Yeah, well, of course you assume that. No one's saying it was intentional. No one out there assumes that Alec Baldwin is secretly some cold-blooded killer, some awful murderer who just thirsts for blood, and that's why he shot this woman. Yeah, obviously, most likely, it was an accident, but that doesn't alter that you should have checked the gun and alter the part you have to play in all of this. What are the charges against Baldwin? Baldwin and Gutierrez-Reed are each being charged with 2 counts of involuntary manslaughter, meaning they are charged in alternative. Prosecutors say they want a jury to decide not only if the pair are guilty, but which type of involuntary manslaughter should apply to the events around Hutchins' death. At the base level, both the charges are 4th-degree felonies, punishable by up to 18 months in jail and a $5,000 fine. That seems way too low for someone as, loaded as Alec Baldwin, but okay. But if Baldwin and or Gutierrez-Reed are found guilty of the most serious charges that carry a firearm enhancement, they stand to face 5 years in prison. Now, there's no way that a Hollywood celebrity is getting 5 years in prison for something like this. I'm sorry, it's just not happening. I wish it would, but it's not. Under the basic involuntary manslaughter charge, prosecutors would need to know about the underlying negligence played a role in the shooting death. The charge would also likely merge with a misdemeanor charge of negligent use of a firearm, prosecutors said. The other charge is involuntary manslaughter in the commission of a lawful act, which would require prosecutors to establish the factors beyond simple negligence contributed to Hutchins' death. This version of the charge includes a firearm enhancement, meaning if the actor or armorer are found guilty, they would face a mandatory prison term of 5 years. Again, I just don't see that happening. Ezra Miller got off granted, Ezra Miller never killed anyone, but he got so much stuff dropped and just had to basically say, yep, I'm an awful person, I apologize, here's some money. And he was chill. Again, what Baldwin did was worse, but Baldwin's was also an accident as opposed to Ezra Miller being completely intentional. So we can already safely assume the max punishment is not coming for Alec Baldwin. When contacted by NPR, Gutierrez-Reed's attorney, Jason Bowles, said his client is and has always been very emotional and sad about this tragic accident, but she did not commit involuntary manslaughter. I would hope the individual was sad about this accident. Her negligence caused a woman to die. I can't even imagine how you would deal with something to that effect. But yeah, it did cause involuntary manslaughter, at least in my professional opinion. Professional being relative here. Calling the official investigation flawed, Bowles stated, "We intend to bring the full truth to light and believe Hannah will be exonerated of wrongdoing by a jury." I don't think so. She's the armorer. If anyone is more at fault, I honestly would say it's her. I'm not trying to give Baldwin any leeway. I don't think he deserves it. In fact, I think that he has fostered this awful cult-like mentality in Hollywood for so long that this may be karma, but I don't like the idea of karma at the expense of another living soul, so maybe that's going a bit far. But the point is, he and the armorer are both to blame. The charges will be formally filed by the end of the month, the prosecutor said, setting the case in motion in the court systems. This decision comes after months of debate and accusation. The shooting has sparked a series of conflicting versions and opinions, from Baldwin saying he didn't pull the trigger on the gun, to the FBI refuting that statement, and Baldwin's attorney saying the FBI findings were misconstrued. Imagine being so arrogant as to be like, oh yeah, no, the FBI, the entire whole FBI just misconstrued what happened with our actor on a film, on the set of a low-budget Western film. Like, dude, the FBI is too busy trying to topple the American government from the inside and turn the blacks and the whites against one another. They probably don't really care too much about Alec Baldwin. They found some bullets, said, yeah, he did it, and he pulled the trigger. Like, it's that simple. As far as how the bullet came to be in the gun, Gutierrez-Reed had previously accused the film supplier of providing live rounds rather than blanks or dummy rounds. Just more blame game. Hutchins' family filed a wrongful death suit against Baldwin and others involved in making the film last February, alleging that reckless behavior and cost-cutting contributed to the death of Hutchins at age 42. But the lawsuit was halted last October after the actor and Hutchins' family agreed to a settlement. The deal included a call for the production of Rust to resume this month, with Hutchins' husband, Matthew, added as an executive producer of the film. That's such a strange little addendum to me. Like, the film that my wife died in the making of, made me a producer on it. That way, anytime I watch that movie, I know, you know what, this killed my wife, but at least I'm attached to a small-budget Hollywood movie. Like, I don't know, that's such a strange concession. I have no intentions of engaging in recriminations or attribution of blame to the producers or Mr. Baldwin, Matthew Hutchins said in a statement about the settlement. All of us believe Helena's death was a terrible accident, and I'm grateful that the producers and the entertainment community have come together to pay tribute to Helena's final work. Correction. A previous version of this story and push notification incorrectly spelled Helena Hutchins' first name. Oh, okay, so alright. Well, yeah, that is that. I genuinely hope that Alec Baldwin does see jail time for this. He needs to know that this is, first of all, gun safety is a big deal. It should always be treated with caution. And also that actions have consequences, mistakes or not. No one is too rich and too powerful to be above the law. I mean, well, I guess some people are, but they shouldn't be. And this would be a nice reminder to us that he shouldn't be and that they aren't. And while this is no Jeffrey Epstein or anything to that effect, it is still important for us little people to see the rich and powerful have to face the same sort of justice that we have to every day. All in all, yeah, I think that's about it for this one. I know this wasn't my traditional nerdy news coverage, and it didn't quite have all the little comedy etchings that I'm known for, but it is an important story nonetheless and important for folks to see. So let me know if you have any thoughts on this that I didn't cover or think that maybe I didn't articulate very well. Let me know in the comments below or on Twitter, where you can find me at BoltTheWord, and check out some of my more lighthearted stories like everything going on with Wizards of the Coast and Dungeons and Dragons, or the celebration that we should all have about Frosk leaving Twitter. All that and more here in the Nerdosphere, so please subscribe, and until next time, this has been Words of Paradise.